am Staff Sergeant, Foreman of Signals, Dave Jarvis, and this video is part of a series of vlogs I'm doing with the aim of improving cycling around the Royal Corps of Signals. Today I'm going to talk about getting your bike set up correctly, or bike fitting, why it's important, things to consider, and a few top tips to help you get the most out of it. Now, it's important for three reasons. In my opinion, the most important one is comfort, okay? If it's not comfortable, that's going to impact your enjoyment. If you're not enjoying it, you're more likely to lose interest and give it up, which we don't want. Second one is efficiency. Now, regardless of why you're doing it, the more efficient you can ride, the more efficient you're riding, the more you'll get out of it. It's essentially getting more out of it for the least amount of effort. And injury prevention is the last one. Any slight issue you have with your setup, it might start as a niggly sort of irritation that could develop into something more painful later. And it's not just your legs that you may associate with cycling because of the pedaling, but any other part of the body as well, from your back, your shoulders, your hands, you name it. So it's important you're comfortable, you're getting the most out of it, and that you're not at risk of injuries. Now, there are three areas that we need to focus on in terms of getting the bike set up, and that's essentially your three contact points: your feet, your bum, and your hands. So that's your footwear and the pedals, the seat, and the handlebars. Okay. Now, all those bits are adjustable to some degree. You can make alterations, move them up and down, left and right, forward and back, so on and so forth. But the limiting factor is the frame. Now, when you're buying your bike, make sure you get a frame that's the right size for you. Okay. Google's your friend. Look for bike sizing charts, and you're basically looking at sizing based on your height and your inseam length. Okay. It's not difficult, it's not rocket science. It's worth taking a tape measure with you if you're going to get a second-hand bike. But if you're going to any half-decent cycling shop, they'll square you away. They should square you away properly when you get there as well. But you can get away with a little bit of compromise on the size, but you have to be sure. Okay. So top tip there is don't get tunnel visioned into buying the bike because it's the last one on the shelf and you really like the look of it. Make sure it fits, because you can't change the frame size. And that's what will limit how many adjustments you can make. Yeah. Anyway, so there's the three areas I mentioned. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about all those three areas in terms of your feet, the saddle, and your handlebars. But I'm going to do it over a few videos because I want to keep them short, as short as possible. Now, so today I'm going to talk about your feet and the pedals. Now, if you're just starting out, it is worth considering getting yourself some cycling shoes. Okay. It's a daunting idea of getting some cleats and fixing your feet in. The idea, yes, it will make me go forward that bit better and so on. But when I stop, how do I get out again? There's no easy way of saying it. It's practice. Okay, you've just got to practice clipping in and out. Now, depending on the brand you get, there are ways of making it easier. You can adjust the resistance on the pedals and so forth to make it easier to clip in and out. But the trick is practice. Okay, learn to unclip as you're rolling to a stop, not when you actually stop. Okay, when you start tipping, there's no way of stopping it really. You're going to go over, and I hate to say it, but it is a rite of passage for cyclists. I don't know any cyclist myself who has not done it at least once. Accept the fact that it will happen at some stage. You will forget to unclip at some stage. Yeah. It's no easy way of doing it. So the trick is just to practice. Okay. So in terms of the shoes themselves, you want something that's nice and strong. Nice and strong in the sole. There's no flexibility, so you get the best power transfer from your legs to the bike. You want something that's going to be strong, that holds your feet in place nice and snugly and tightly as well, because let's not forget, it's not just the downward motion, but it's the upward motion as well. Okay, so you've got push and pull in there, so you need something you can pull against. But there's a range of options to get that nice snug fit, from normal laces, zips, Velcro straps. There's a range of different ratchet type straps and dials that you can get as well. It depends how much money you want to spend and what kind of quality you want and what characteristics you want out of it as well. You might want something that's more comfortable rather than more performance related, but it's up to you. So like I said, snug, comfortable, solid sole, and a strong top section as well to keep your foot in place when you're pulling against it. And there you go. Now, cleats. there are a range of different types. There are some designed for effective power transfer, great for racing and so on and so forth. There are others designed for leisure, so you can get in and out of them easier. They're more comfortable to walk in, and a whole host of different ones in between. Okay, it is down to personal choice. There's loads of different reviews online. Have a look. Okay, I can only comment on the ones I've got and the ones I've used, and I've used the same ones since I started, and they are Shimano SPD SLs. Come in packets that look very similar to that, and you'll see three different ones, different color coded, different colors. Sorry, the red ones I showed you there. There's also blue and yellow. Now, if you're starting out and you fancy going this direction, this way, yellow is the ones you want. Okay, got a set there, my spares. Okay, now the reason for the colours, in case you didn't know as well, is essentially that's the float, the amount of rotational movement you get, the flexibility, you could say, the wiggle room, you know, depending on how you want to call it. Imagine your feet's fixed into the pedal. It's the movement that you get in your heel there, basically. All right, so the wiggle room. Now the colour determines how much you get. The yellow one you get the most. It's actually 6 degrees. And that's the ideal one really if you're starting out, because it gives you the ability to test and adjust your position that bit more, and give you that bit more comfort. The red one, by comparison, the one I showed you a moment ago, that one keeps your feet firmly fixed in place. Okay, so I don't recommend getting that unless you're absolutely sure of your position. That's the direction I'm going. I've been cycling for a few years now. I've been using blues for the last few years. They are the halfway house. They get less movement than the yellow, but a little bit less still before you go fixed. I'm fairly sure now, so I'm getting ready to swap. But make sure you're sure, okay? If you're noticing little issues in your knees, okay, it might be a sign that you need to make some tweaks to your cleats. So if you're getting pain in the front or the back of your knee, it might be that you need to move the cleat forward or back on the bottom of your shoe. If you're getting pain on the outside of your knee, it might be that you need to move the cleat left or right, or rotate it slightly, okay? The trick is to pay attention to the little niggles and be prepared to test and adjust, okay? And that applies really to any change you make to the setup. Be prepared to test and adjust, okay? Now, obviously we've got the shoes, we've done the cleats, pedals. Now, these are the pedals that go with my cleats, SPD SLs. You can get a raft of different ones in the sense that they're different quality. The better the quality, it just means the better the power transfer. At this point, we're only talking about a few watts at most, but it all adds up, marginal gains, okay? Now, little top tip you can use is use the bike's mechanism to help you when you're getting it all fitted, okay? If all pedals have got the same fitting on them, one single bolt that goes in, simple as that, that's it. I've got it all up to finger tight. I can't get it any tighter with my fingers. This is the next top tip now. You don't need to put your back into it. It doesn't need to be tightened to death, okay? So you can use an Allen key on the back of it, or you can use a spanner on the front of the pedal, okay? There's two options there, but you just give it a little extra nudge above finger tight. That's as far as you need to go, because ultimately you've got to take them off again at some point, and you don't need to make that any harder than it needs to be. If you have got a second-hand bike and the pedals are already on and they are welded on almost, little tricks you could try is with a spanner connected to it. You could, if you can get a longer one, so you've got a bigger lever, great, you get more torque. You could then get a mallet and just tap the end of it gently, okay? Don't batter it, okay, because you're obviously going to risk injury there. If you can get a section of metal tubing perhaps that fits over the top of the spanner, so you get a bigger lever still, that's another option, but again, make sure you've got a decent fit, otherwise you're going to end up hurting yourself. And if you're at the point where you still can't make any headway, consider going down to the bike shop. They'll have all the correct tools, they'll know what they're doing, and they'll get it off. It's highly likely they won't manage it. So there you go. Hopefully I've given you some useful information with all that. I will happily answer any questions you may have, and if you have any suggestions, any top tips, any possible products you can consider for the newbies, I'll leave them in the comments. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to the next one.